One thing about sewing is that it has tons of great techniques that have withstood the test of time. In this video, I want to share 5 classic techniques that will help elevate your results to the next level. Let's begin with a very simple and quick technique of pulling one of the horizontal threads at the fabric bottom to use it as a marking to evenly cut the fabric edge. Now, this is a very simple and quick technique, but it has tons of great benefit. The biggest benefit, of course, is that when we have a perfectly straight cut fabric edge, we can find very easy the true fabric grain line and cut our pattern details accordingly. When the pattern details are cut properly according to the grain line, the clothing piece is going to last much longer, and also it's going to fall on the body properly. Not only that, but using this very simple technique, you might find out that the fabric edge is cut very unevenly, even though it might be difficult to see it just by looking at the fabric. This technique may also reveal that the fabric grain line is skewing, which happened to me when I was sewing this particular dress, and the fabric grain line needs to be fixed before cutting. Or in some cases, this simple technique might show that the fabric print is printed slightly off grain, which happened when I was sewing this skirt from this beautiful polka dot fabric. This technique takes only a few extra minutes, but the benefits are clear, and I definitely recommend adding it in your sewing routine. Now, when we're talking about sewing techniques, we of course must talk about pressing, because pressing is key in getting those professional looking results. So in this next tip, I want to show you one very interesting technique how to press the back dart. Now, at the back we have this diamond shaped dart. When we sew the dart, you want to go ahead and press it by slightly stretching the dart fabric. Here, important part is not to stretch the dart seam, only the dart seam allowance. When you stretch and press it, you're easing in the seam allowance and give it a little bit of extra fabric so that when you wear it on the body, that diamond-shaped dart just falls very beautifully on the body. The deeper the dart, the better this technique will work. So give it a try and you will see what a fantastic difference this simple step will give. This is one of the techniques that I teach in depth in my intermediate level course. In this course, we're going to learn how to take measurements of our 3-dimensional bodies and turn it into a 2-dimensional paper patterns. Using this pattern making knowledge, you will be able to construct a pattern that fits your body perfectly and also modify commercial patterns to fit your figure. We're also going to learn classic cutting, pressing and sewing techniques that you'll be able to apply in all of your future projects. In this course, you're going to learn that the small details are the secret to getting those professional results. I will link the intermediate course in the description box down below, along with a special discount code. Now let's continue with our video. Now the third tip is also going to be about pressing, because pressing is key. So I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, but I wanted to share it one more time because it's just such a great technique that you definitely don't want to miss out on. So when you're pressing simple darts, you want to go ahead and use a thick paper, slide it underneath and then press it. This technique will help you avoid noticeable lines of the dart on the right side of the garment, which sometimes may happen when you press without using a paper. You can use this technique not only to press the darts, but also press the seam allowance open, and just to avoid those very clear visible lines. It's best to use a thicker paper that has no paint on it so that it doesn't transfer to the fabric. This is very simple technique, but you will be surprised how well it actually works. Now the next technique is going to be a classic with a modern twist. So it's all about the stay stitch. Now we use the stay stitch to stabilize the neckline and the armhole before sewing, and we sew the stay stitch about 1-2 millimeters from the seam allowance line. Now the stay stitch helps stabilize the fabric, so when we're moving cut pieces of the pattern, we're not not accidentally overstretching them, which may happen because these parts are cut on curves and on bias. But I want to show you one great trick that you can do. So when I sew the necklines or the sleeveless armholes, I always use a piece of bias cut interfacing to give the neckline or armholes better shape. Now, I usually buy the pre-cut roll of bias cut interfacing, but of course you can just go ahead and cut it from a standard piece of interfacing and cut a strap at 45-degree angle to cut it on true bias. Once you have that bias cut interfacing at the middle, sew a straight stitch. And then you get the bias cut interfacing strap with a stay stitch. Then you can apply it on the neckline or at the armholes, and it's going to give you the benefit of interfacing and the stay stitch with one step of application. You can prepare this bias cut interfacing with stay stitch in advance and always keep it in stash and use it whenever you need it, and it's going to save you so much time and it's going to give you great results. Not only will your necklines and armholes will keep their shape, but because of that stay stitch, they will not stretch out. Now, fifth and final tip that I wanted to share in today's video is a tip that I think is one of the most underrated tips, and yet it's one of my favorite cutting tips. So when you're working with plaid, checkered, striped fabrics, you want to cut them on the single layer of fabric instead of the fold. So how to do that? First, you're going to take your pattern detail and place it on the right side of the fabric. Then position the center fold line and the hem according to the fabric print. Then you're going to cut around the pattern detail without cutting the center fold line. Once you cut around the detail, you're going to remove the pattern and fold the cutout detail at the fold line. Then perfectly match the fabric print on both fabric layers and cut around the fabric using the previously cut detail as a template. Once you unfold the detail, you have a perfectly cut fabric which has exact same print on both sides of the detail. Now, what I love about this technique is that it gives very precise and accurate results and makes later sewing plaid, checkered, or striped fabrics much easier. By cutting these fabrics not on fold, we avoid the shifting of the fabric layers, which would inevitably happen when we're cutting fabric on fold. Not only that, but we're also able to position the fabric print exactly in the place that we want. You can also use this technique to cut other fabrics like solid color fabrics or knit fabrics, because not only this will help you cut according to the straight grain line, but it will also help you save fabric because you will be able to position pattern details on fabric more efficiently. This is my favorite method how to cut geometric print fabrics, and the results are always worth it. So here are all 5 classic techniques that I wanted to share in today's video. If you enjoyed this video, this is the video you may want to watch next. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye!